Hey friends, it's JayRy. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Today I have a brand new series that I'm starting. It's very personal, and it's called Justice for Del. This photograph obviously you see on my wall is my son Del with me on one of our many adventures. Del just turned 4 years old this week. And there's an incredible injustice that's going on for Del. And many of you who already know me, you know how much my son means to me. You know what kind of father I am, and you already know a lot of what's happened. But now, because of the situations that are happening in the custody battle and the criminal process, I can finally speak about this. And so for people who know me, some of this is going to be a review, some of this is going to elaborate on things you may know or you may not know. But the purpose of this series, Justice for Del, Justice for All, is for people to speak up about injustices that are happening. And this is specific about domestic violence. This is specific about child abuse. This is specific about criminal abuse of the legal system. All of those things are going on in my life and primarily deal with Del's mother, pulling all sorts of ridiculous, hateful stunts. And now I can speak about it because all of the evidence has been filed, all of the appeals, everything, every case is filed, and they're going after her for everything that she has done. And that is only a tiny relief. So what is the purpose of this? Is this a vengeful video? No. This is about people finding justice and sharing stories. And perhaps there's somebody who's watching this who understands the system better and who can offer some advice. Perhaps there's somebody that works for the State Department, that works for the embassy, because I am out of the country, which is a huge complication of being in Costa Rica and trying to deal with custody and deal with all of the craziness that has been going on. And of course, people complain about the American legal system. Well, here the system is even slower and disorganized. Again, I love this country. I love Costa Rica. I moved here to raise my son to be in a different place, and it is. But of course, I was not anticipating having hateful lies and perjurious lawsuits made against me and Del's grandmother. It's disgusting that you could have a baby with someone and they try to threaten your mother's life. It's disgusting. So here's the point. This is justice for Del. This is justice for all. I'm going to share a summary in this first episode of what's going on so people can have the whole picture. And I invite anybody who can help with the situation, or even if you just have a comment, if you have something that your brother or sister went through, or this has happened in your family as well, or anything like that. This is an advocacy series. I've already had a series of issues in my life with my daughters and their mother. When I was married long ago, my ex-wife was guilty of domestic violence, arrested twice, went to jail, pled guilty of domestic violence. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. I know what it is for people to lose control of their emotions. And that was in California that, she was convicted, as she should have been, right? But here I have this background of already knowing about, male and female relations and what happens, especially after the Me Too movement, where, there's this idea now that every woman, if she says something, then she must be listened to. Well, sure, that's true. But when you have no evidence, and it's proven you have no evidence, then what happens? Who goes back and cleans up the mess that you made because you made these huge accusations as a woman in hysterics with no evidence? It's like a witch burning, right? And it's gross. And our beautiful son, sorry, this way, our beautiful son, you know, is in the middle of it. Like, Del has the best life here in Costa Rica, right? Constantly having adventures and learning in a completely different place, you know, than my upbringing, you know, in California would have given him. So it's completely different here. It's a beautiful life. There's no need for this hateful garbage. Del's mom is not happy here. She wants to move back to California. We had a very peaceful meeting about that in March of this year, 2025. She was offered $20,000 and $1,500 a month to go back to California. Go find this new job that you want, and you want to be back with your friends and, you know, party with your friends. That's always what it was about, you know. And sorry, like in my life, you know, alcohol and drugs, I mean, we're 15 years difference in our age, so there's a significant difference. But like, alcohol and drugs are not the focus of my life. And unfortunately, Del's mother is somebody who has not gotten over that, and she was not ready to be a mom. And so that's all okay. We discussed all of those things, as I said, in a peaceful meeting. And I said, let me help you. I'll help you go back to California, and we'll figure out, I mean, Del's gonna stay here and be, you know, educated and live here. That was always what we agreed to. So then she meets this, so then she says, fine, great, let's do that. And I say, great, let's get lawyers. We'll just, you know, notarize what we talked about and go from there. Well, alakazam, you know, maybe about 5 weeks later, I get served with papers saying, I've been physically abused for years by this man. Take him away, put him in jail. And like, what? I mean, just so disgusting. It's like literally when Del's mother and I had this meeting, right? It was calm, it was peaceful. We hugged each other at the end. She said, I want to get it right for our son. I want us to go to his soccer games and his baseball games together and be the cool parents, whatever. And I'm like, great, let's do that. Let's do it the right way. And I said over and over again, I said in that meeting, I said, we have to figure it out ourselves, because as soon as you get lawyers, they're going to pit you against each other, and then you're going to put your whole life out for a court system to try and make sense of your life for you, and then you will lose control. I said it because I know it. It's happened to other family members of mine, where people just started arguing, and next thing you know, you've lost $100,000, made lawyers rich, and now you've created a situation where people hate each other, and family members, or everyone's pitted against each other. It's like, why? Like, there was no purpose of any of that. Everyone that knew that Del's mom and I were not a couple for over the past 3 years. We never lived in the same room together in this country. Never. Like, we were not a couple. We were parents. And yes, we took pictures together at Disneyland for our son. We were not romantic. We were not a couple. We were not married. It was the generosity of me and my family helping her along in this process. But she needed to still have her own job, and she needed to act like a goddamn human being and not be violent and break down doors in my mother's home. Like, it got crazy. Okay. So let me give you the summary of where we're at right now. And again, I'm telling all of this for several reasons. One, because it's important for people to speak up for injustice. And that's exactly what this series is about. And it's still ongoing. So there's still a lot more that's coming, right? But I'm at a spot now where enough of it has been filed across all the different, constituencies, between the criminal division, between child services. Everybody is aware of what's going on here. So that is a good thing, right? It's just waiting for the system to catch up to the criminal. And yes, I'm using the word criminal. And that's another thing I want to say before I get into the summary, is that anybody can say anything on social media, right? And it's really easy for somebody else to just say, oh, he's lying. Everything that I'm going to present to you has been submitted to a court and has evidence. I'm not going to give you ideas of crimes. I'm going to tell you exactly the crimes and all the evidence that there is for it, right? So if I'm going to give an idea or a hunch, I will let you know. But this is not a I hate women. I love women. I love the women in my life. Most of my exes I'm still great friends with. I have somebody now who is a fantastic woman, in my life as well, which has nothing to do with Dell, but it's just a point of making sure everyone is clear as to what's happening here. I'm telling my story, and it's not a hateful story, it's a truthful story. And also, to make it interesting, every time that I present some huge piece of evidence, right, I'm going to make a challenge to anybody who's watching, and I'm going to make a $10,000 challenge. If I state something that was stated against me, and you can prove that with any evidence that I'm lying, $10,000 I will give that person who can actually solve all of these baseless claims that have no evidence. $10,000, and I'll tell you exactly when we're talking about these kind of things. But let me get to this is a summary. I'm using a summary that actually was part of an advocacy group. Oh, I was mentioning that before. So because of my background of being an actual domestic violence victim, not a made-up domestic violence victim where you just say it and then there's no evidence and you just wallow in your victimhood and get people to feel sympathy for you and go against the man. It's just so easy, right? But in the real world, you have to have evidence, okay? So here we go. This is something that I sent to an advocacy group. So it's just a starting point for those of you who are catching up and those of you who have never heard anything, never understand what I'm doing. But this is all about me and my son, who's in the picture here. Okay, here we go. Hello, my name is Jason Ryan. I'm a U.S. citizen who is a victim of multiple crimes here in Costa Rica, and the judicial system is not protecting the rights of my son, Del Ryan Cuevas. That is my son's name. And my rights as a human being and as a father are being ignored as well. Now here's where it started, okay? A rogue judge in Escazú revoked all of my parental rights with my son Del, with zero evidence and zero explanation. This judge told my attorney that we were not allowed to object or appeal his unlawful and biased, abusive rulings. Now, the mother of Del is also a U.S. citizen. She was never my wife. She stopped being my girlfriend in 2022, so over 3 years ago. She has her own job. She refuses to contribute anything financially to raise our son. That's the way it's been. She doesn't contribute. She thinks that she's a princess. She thinks that she's on a pedestal, and she just should have everything handed to her as if she's a Kardashian or something. She's not. She's using Socorro, that is the name of Del's mother, is using and abusing the finances of myself and my family, and she stole the home which Socorro has no legal right to be in. So this is, again, like just standard business, that you don't steal somebody's property that's not yours. And this whole, oh, well, you had a kid together, she deserves this. I don't own the home. So she is stealing the home of a third party and went as far as to say she paid for the house. So here is the first $10,000 challenge to everybody watching right now. Del's mother, Socorro Cuevas Pescador, filed in Costa Rica saying she purchased with her own money in October, November of 2021, the house that she is now illegally taken possession of. Listen very carefully to what I just said. She wrote in writing, penalty of perjury. Maybe in America, perjury, is held to a different standard than in Costa Rica. But here's the first $10,000 challenge, okay? Any person who watches this clip, or I should say the first person who watches this clip, watches this video, and produces the evidence that Socorro Cuevas Pescador bought a house in Costa Rica with the address of where, again, she's at right now in Escazú in October, November of 2021. Please bring that evidence, because she's lying. She never put a dollar into anything in this country. She never put a dollar into a car. She never put a dollar into a plane ticket. She never put a dollar into a house, nothing. And again, we were a couple when we first got here, but it dissolved it dissolved almost instantly because she couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle being in this place. She couldn't handle not being with her friends. She couldn't handle being a mom. And she had full-time help the whole time. This is not some sob story of a woman who too much was put upon her. She didn't have to clean the house. She didn't have to cook. And she didn't have to raise our son by herself either. It's somebody who just doesn't have enough, whatever word you want to use. Just doesn't have enough confidence or enough skill, life skill of, handling situations. She's not a problem solver. She just makes problems and wallows. So there's the first challenge. She said that she bought this house with her money. So again, I want everybody to know the facts, because Dell's mother has reached out to many people I know trying to get sympathy and trying to, oh, Jason is so terrible and oh my God, he's throwing me out. No, you threw me out with false charges and lying of saying that it's your house. So she's never been homeless. She's never been out for even a second. So more lies. So there it is. There's the first $10,000 challenge. Please, somebody, show us. Banks, wire transfer, international wire transfers, it's got to be super easy. So show us. And you will win $10,000. Show us where she brought all this money in to pay for this house. There's the first challenge. And it's going to show you the pattern of behavior of just reckless lying. But again, the judicial system is catching up, and she will likely end up in jail, and she deserves to be there. Let's continue. She has no legal right to that house, and then I gave you the $10,000 challenge, so let's continue. Socorro, again, Dell's mother, agreed to a settlement with me. This is that coffee meeting I was telling you about. She agreed to a settlement to leave the country, but once she learned about these fake domestic violence loopholes, she instead chose to invent stories and abuse the Costa Rican system to steal money and power and custody. And unfortunately, when I follow the process here of replying and disputing and giving actual facts, right? Not enough action has been taken yet. Here we are, the week of Dell's birthday, November 4th, okay? This is now 5 months that my rights to my son have been taken away. In California, as an example, if somebody makes an accusation against a father, or a mother for that matter, the rule is 21 days. You have to be heard, and that person has to prove their case in 21 days. So things like this don't happen, right? So that's an example. If you're watching from another part of the world or you're watching from another state, tell me, what is the rule where you are? Are you an attorney that deals with cases like this? Again, I want to have guests on future episodes as well, of people just talking this through. It's not every week there's going to be some giant update of this exact situation. But, again, I have a very small channel. I have a very small reach. But please send me some people who can talk more about this, even if it's just a personal story, okay? So she learned the loophole, and so far it has not been overturned. So here's one of the crazy things that happens here. So they have this division called OIJ, right? And OIJ is kind of like an American FBI, but no offense, but very less organized, okay? Like if you're wanted by the FBI and they find you, they've got a case, you're effed, right? OIJ is the sort of the detective agency for the country, okay? But OIJ, like the problem or the advantage to lying is that the different divisions don't talk to each other. So OIJ doesn't understand what the domestic violence court is doing, and the domestic violence court doesn't talk to the custody court. Again, is a small example. In California, if you have a family, matter, you go to one judge, and that judge, who gets the house, who gets the cars, who's paying this, which week is dad's, which week is mom's, right? California 50-50 custody is standard, right? And we already agreed to a 50-50 custody agreement here before she broke the law on that too. So again, it's just all of these things are just waiting. They're just, this giant piano is waiting over her head of these legal processes that are going to catch up. But here's what, again, the big problem is that here the divisions don't talk to each other. So what happens is that people who lie, they can abuse the system for quite some time because all the divisions are not like keeping track, and they separate. Like child support is a separate court than child custody is separate than property. Like it's a bit odd coming from the American system. Therefore, women in this country have been coached to, quote, claim domestic violence, and you'll get whatever you want. And the anger of a woman will be instantly and indefinitely weaponized against whatever man they choose. And so that's what's happening here. She's so angry. It's just ridiculous. But she knew from day one we weren't getting married. Every one of her friends who are watching right now, everybody knew. Even at our baby shower, she opened a diamond, that I gave her, right? But it was a necklace, and like they were gasping, like, "Oh, we thought it was a ring." And I clarified in front of everybody. They're like, "It's not going to be a ring. Like you all know that. We're not getting married. I'm not interested in marriage." And also, why would I marry somebody who's not bringing, like, marriage is a business. Why would I marry somebody who's not bringing anything to the business, right? Like I'm a successful man and have been for many years. Like she's not bringing property or anything like that. Marriage is a financial decision. It is. Everybody thinks of, the big beautiful white and the vows and the lovey-dovey. Like it's a business arrangement. Like just get it straight. There's no reason you can't do both, but there's no reason to be anyone to get married unless the other person is actively at your level, like in the business, right? So. Anyway, the problem here is that, so you can lie and you can do all of these things, and then the woman doesn't get held accountable because they're not really that interested in pursuing perjury here, right? And so she knows that based off of the lawyer that she hired. Let's see. Now here's the thing that also shows like how we're not in America. This could happen in America too, but listen to this part. The first judge who was assigned to the false domestic violence case, where again, Dell's mother said she has been physically abused by me for many years. That's the quote in her first filing, right? But what was missing from the first filing? Now, the judge rejected her claims. The first judge rejected it. Why? There wasn't one photograph. There wasn't one bruise. There wasn't one hospital. There wasn't one emergency care. There wasn't one 911 call. There was not one text to her girlfriend. "Oh my God, he did it again." Nothing. How in today's world, social media, friends, everything, how could not one of her friends ever have produced a text message saying, "Well, I didn't see a picture, but at least she told me on December 17th, 1922, that he hit her again." Something. If you're so distraught of being abused physically for so many years, you never texted anybody about it? Give me a fucking break. Like, it's just nonsense. So the first judge made the right ruling and said, no. That judge said, "Jason, you can't be mean to her and you can't physically harm her. That's it. I was not told to leave the house. I was not told to stay 10 feet away from it. Nothing. They gave her the bare minimum, which is just human decency. Basic human decency. You don't have to be told not to scream at people or push them around or hurt them, but like, okay, well, that's what she won by that first ruling, but nothing. Do you know what she asked for in that first ruling? This is, again, where you just see the true motivation of the scum that I'm dealing with. She asked for $2,000 a month and for me to be put in jail. And again, I've been physically abused for years without one piece of evidence, nothing. Because of course it didn't happen. And everybody knows that. Everyone knows who I am. Everybody in this scenario knows how ridiculously kind and generous I've been to a woman that there's been no romantic interest or relationship for years. Everybody knows it. Everybody we've ever visited. We stayed in separate rooms. We stayed in separate beds. We traveled separately. Like, stop it. Like, this whole story of one of her filings she wrote, like, oh, everything was fine with everything was normal in our relationship only until May 2025. He just flipped out on me. Right. So how could you file that? But then you also said you've been abused for 3 years. But then you said everything was fine until May of 2025. Again, this whole thing, like, I have 4 lawyers like working on this, right? And every one of them is like, well, of course she's lying. Like, there's nothing there. So before I continue, like, let's be perfectly clear. If you're a man or a woman or a child who is getting the shit beat out of you by a parent, by anybody, yes, speak up for yourself. Take pictures, document every single thing. Get that motherfucker. Yes, absolutely. Man, woman, anybody, child, please, absolutely. Fuck anybody who does that. Yes, that's not me. That's not who I am. I haven't done anything like that ever. I don't beat up people. I used to play hockey, which used to get pretty aggressive, but that's a sport, okay? So there's not one person who can come forward and say I beat the shit out of them and I did things that's not who I am. Never has been and still isn't today. So enough of the lies, okay? So the first judge rejected it because, again, no evidence. Now check this out. So then her lawyer magically gets that judge removed. How did that happen? Gosh, I wonder, in a small country where judges and doctors don't even make $50,000, gosh, how did they get a judge changed into this? I wonder. I don't wonder. Again, I don't have that. I don't have evidence of that. I'm just stating my opinion in that circumstance, okay? But let's all use our brains. You get a judge changed, and then the next judge rules for you 9 things in a row, even when you are you made a filing about Legos. I mean, like, please. So the judge got changed. She was allowed to resubmit her claim to get a new ruling. So she got a different judge changed and overruled until she got the ruling she wanted. And then she kept getting ruling after ruling after ruling, and like my attorneys and I were just like, oh, this is bribery. Like, this is crazy, right? So the second Escazú judge, right, his name is Johel, Johel. Some of you may know him. Some of you may have a story of your own of nonsense going on in his court. And again, I'm not disparaging a judge. I'm just telling you what happened. First judge got it right. Second judge, 9 rulings in a row without letting us appeal, without letting us appeal, or reply. That's illegal. Then this judge took it upon himself to make a financial ruling without ever meeting me, without ever having any conversation about what my financial status or ability or anything is. That's also illegal. Completely illegal. Then, because we appealed and we sent it to the Superior Court, then he put out a warrant for my arrest. I mean, she has been hell-bent on destroying me. And then she gets this judge to make an arrest warrant against me off of fraudulent claims, which then turned into fraudulent illegal rulings. So, again, 9 filings against me without any evidence and without any ability to reply. I don't care where you are in the world. That's illegal. That's not justice. So you can't call your division poder judicial and actually claim that there's any justice happening when that's what you do. So now part of this has been fixed, but part of this is not. So now my team went to the Superior Court. The Superior Court agreed. That's illegal, right? But they didn't go as far as to erase their arrest warrant, right? Because again, they're different divisions and they're not all connecting. And the judge was removed. So the judge who made all of these illegal rulings and was told by the Superior Court that that was illegal was removed. But now another judge has been put on it and is reviewing everything. But at this moment, it's not finalized yet. So again, imagine being a person in a foreign country, and because somebody makes up a story, you're being hunted to be arrested off of nothing. There's no evidence. Like, how can you make an arrest warrant off of something that was never proven? I have no criminal record. I have nothing, right? So how did that happen? Did a judge get in his position by not knowing the law? Or did he bend the law because he was encouraged to? I mean, those are the only two possible outcomes that make any sense in who I've spoken to. What do you think? I'm interested in hearing other ideas. So again, how could one judge rule correctly and then the next judge broke the law and impeded justice for me and my son? And again, Dell's mother was coached to just keep filing, just get everything, say anything, because you'll never have to prove it, right? She even made a filing saying that I turned the internet off on her, right? Which again was a lie, but it got a ruling in her favor, and it's like, and every document, every bill, everything. She's still living in a house that I'm paying $3,000 a month for. And she's demanding thousands more dollars. And she's just stealing custody and all of these things. Like, it's insane. Help is coming, right? But this is wild. And this is, everything I'm telling you is just 100% the truth. I mean, it's just thousands of papers at this point of filings and everything. Okay. Now here's the thing, again, that we'll get into more detail in future episodes, right? But like the definition of child abuse. Dell is the victim of child abuse by his mother. She screams at him. She screamed at him when he would wet his pants. She doesn't pay attention to him. She ignores him. She's in completely opposite parts of the house and he's by himself. But what she's doing now is literally the letter of the law of child abuse. And what she's doing now with illegal statements about the father, illegal statements about his only grandmother that's in his life, which of course is my mother. Dell's mother made up stories about my mother who owns the house. So, let me make up a story about the owner of the house, so then I'll get to keep the house. So she can't come here and she can't see her grandson. That's child abuse. Specifically keeping family members that are in the child's life, keeping them away by lie and deceit is child abuse. And that's exactly what's happening here. And she should absolutely be put in jail for child abuse, 100%. There's no sympathy anymore from somebody who went to, I'll give you money to go back to California. Oh, that's so sweet. Thanks for helping me. Oh, and a big hug and all of that. To 5 weeks later, I'm going to steal and destroy you and your family's entire life. There is no coming back from that. She and Dell's mother and her attorneys have never once sat down to mediate. They don't. That's it. It's smash and grab. It's just straight sledgehammer robbery to a glass window. Not once have they even attempted to resolve anything, because they don't have to. They can get away with everything. Which is nothing. I was about to say they get away with murder. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm worth much more dead than I am alive. So making these videos and making these episodes is also a way to protect myself so that all of the evidence is out there and people don't lose sight of the ball of what's happening. If she could bribe a judge, she could bribe a thug too. So yeah, of course I'm in danger. But this is about my son who was having a beautiful life with his father. What delusion that you cannot control your temper as a mother to realize that you're in a good situation. Like, we didn't agree 100%, but we agreed like 98% on how we were raising our son. But it's destroyed now. It's destroyed with hatred and greed. How on earth are we supposed to go to that soccer game or that baseball game and sit next to each other and root for our son? How on earth could that happen after you lied about abuse? You stole my son. You stole my mother's house. You tried to push her down the stairs. That's another case. Like, this is delusion. This is mental instability. Mental retardation runs in her family. Like, she should be diagnosed. And actually that is requested in that complete psychoanalysis is absolutely necessary. And it's in several other filings, which are waiting a judgment. Okay. This is already going long, but let me give you a few more. So my son is absolutely being abused by his mother. His mother also lied to the detectives when she claimed in May of this year that I kidnapped my own son. We didn't have a custody arrangement yet. So how could I kidnap my son when, with witnesses, my son wanted to go swimming, and so I took him to a friend's condo to go swimming? How's that kidnapping when you know where I am? She called the detective. She called OIJ. She said, I don't know where he is. He won't answer me. He must answer the phone when I call him. So because it's a woman in hysterics, they sent the whole cavalry to come get me and my son. But how did they know where to go and find us and bang on the door if she didn't know where we were? Oops, another lie, another giant fake story. That then took us to Child Services. In Costa Rica, Child Services is called PANI, P-A-N-I. We were there for almost 8 hours, where the psychologists looked at our son, talked to both of us, got the whole thing in front of lawyers. Really important point, because she made another filing afterwards that said she didn't have a lawyer and she was tricked. Another perjurous, lying, disgusting statement. Something happened that night that never happens in Costa Rica. A man walked out with his son after being accused of kidnapping. They gave him to me because they could see through the bullshit and the lies and the stories that nothing happened. They saw it with their own eyes, and that is their job, is to protect children. And if it's Thai does not go to the man in this country. And there's a photograph of myself and Dell and Waki, who's the sweet nanny of Dell, who when we won custody that night, right? Just to break even, that it was already me having a great time with our son, but she had to stop it. She had to get him away from me because of her hatred and her vengeance. This is all about like a 37-year-old woman who's acting like she's 12 and somebody took her Barbie doll. Our son is not a possession. He's a human being and he loves his father. And it's not just because we go to amusement parks. I've taught my son to swim. I'm the one who always gets in the pool with him. I'm the one that teaches him that. I'm the one who was teaching him Taekwondo until he was ripped away from me. Then she canceled his Taekwondo class because it would remind him of his dad. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And where will it end? You know? So I won at Pawnee. So again, I have a ruling from Child Services, right? And we made an agreement that night to make a custody arrangement of 5 days on, 5 days off. So we did that. She did that like maybe for like a week. Then her attorney called my attorney and said, oh, she's not going to return the kid ever again, and you're going to have to fight in court to ever see him again. So then she started stepping up all these other extra lies with the help of that crooked judge, right, in Escazú. And then I lost complete custody, right, over nothing. Why? Because it wasn't enough that you lied to the detectives and you lied to Child Services and you lost your fight that I had kidnapped our son? And then the person who actually did kidnap our son, which is her, because the police were come in to enforce the custody arrangement, which she went on a police hunt. Armed officers and dogs were chasing her through the neighborhood. So she thought it was a good idea to go on the run and hide in people's houses. The maid said she was hiding in a closet, cowering with our son. What the fuck is that? That's who should have custody of the child? She's out of her mind. She is the literal textbook of nuts, crazy, incapable of handling raising a child. The police told me, come to Child Services. I went. I didn't run. I had nothing to hide, and I won custody. Why is she running? Why? If you're in the right, why would you run from the police? Huh. Very interesting, right? Let me continue. Yeah, we're talking about her revenge. We're talking about how vengeful she is. We're talking about how, again, people all see her. Her nose is constantly running. She's shaking when she's sitting in these investigation rooms. Yeah, it's the drugs, too. She is not a strong person. She cannot handle, she can't ever handle being wrong, which is why there's just no point in talking to her. It's one of the many reasons why I broke up with her so long ago. But like now, with all of this like added pressure, like she cracks. She's not strong. Okay, so we talked about how we talked about Pawnee. We talked about you're gonna have to beg to ever see your son again. Right. And we talked about how the Superior Court overruled that judge, but still to this day, like they overruled that, but they have not completely finished overruling taking my son away for no reason. Right. So again, it's a start. Why does this country allow a woman to abuse the father of her child and the grandmother of her child with no evidence? Again, she physically and verbally threatened my mother, who's 75 years old, who can barely walk at this point in her life. My mother owns the house that she has taken illegal possession of through her lies. Like, who are you? Like, I thought you were proud of your heritage. Like, is that your family heritage, is to steal things from other families? Like, you're a working woman. Make your own life. You don't get $400,000 house through lies. Like, work. Be an actual, have something to be proud of. Like, it's disgusting. Like my family, like I'm very proud of my family. We're a working class family, like this stuff is it's just despicable. And it's clear as day. Don't give me any story about how like, oh, well, she deserves the house because she was living there. No, actually, she does not own anything in that house. But we already made a settlement. But I guess $20,000 plus a year of stipend wasn't enough because somehow somebody convinced her to go for the jugular. Just take it all. You don't need his permission to have anything. You're a woman. Stand up for yourself. Yeah, look at what's happened. Our son will forever be scarred because of this. Yeah, we'll get to my mom's cases more later. But and then this is talking more about the advocacy group about solving this. Every father's rights must be respected. Every child's rights to be with a non-violent, non-criminal, never convicted, no evidence of ever doing any wrongdoing with a child. Why is he not with his father? Hate, vengeance, possible bribery. That's why. and elder rights must be also upheld. How's it okay to threaten a 75-year-old woman? Like what is your upbringing that you think that that's okay? Regardless of what your attorney is coaching you to do. And we know that it's coaching because literally when you look at the court filing on the day that she filed, or the day that it's in the first filing of when she hired her attorney, literally the text that she and I would have as parents, this day to like the day after that, all of a sudden is like completely different. And I'm like, I knew for some time that she was up to something. She thought I was so stupid, like I didn't know what she was doing. But I mean, I didn't know everything she was doing, but like, she's not a good poker player. We'll just put it that way. And again, like my mom and we're building a project here, right? Like we are very invested in the future of Costa Rica. My mother and I pay people and staff here a working living, which is way more than what everybody else pays. People here are almost working slaves in how little they get paid. We don't do that. We're trying to do something here and change lives. I'm in the immigration program. My son was born here. I'm part of an investment group here. I manage the investment group of my mother here, which is enough to get, immigration. Dell's mom quit the immigration program because she wasn't planning on staying. And during this time, when now she's filed and said like somehow I kicked her out of the program, which again, like I have no jurisdiction or right to kick her out of the immigration program. What she did do is she went and got her citizenship in Mexico. And then her mom texts me and says, oh, just give up Dell. Let her take him here with us. Oh, isn't that interesting? So all of these fake stories, the mom spills the beans in text, which again, all of these things have been filed now, so I'm not worried about telling you guys all of this. Because it's all filed now. The evidence is all there. It's an incredibly slow system, and there's so much more to talk about. But I think this is enough for today. But I'm intentionally, like my channel, I've had a lot of bullshit happen on my channels, which is obviously being directed by Team Mother. So I've turned all comments off on my socials. But I invite you, if you want to be on this show, if you want to even just type the comments, they'll go into the hold, and then I can share some. Or if you don't want to be shared, that's fine too. But again, I'm fighting for my son's rights. I'm fighting for my rights. I'm fighting for my mother's rights. I'm still trying to find work and be a productive, person during all of this. I'm dealing with my psychologist who's trying to help me make sense of life and everything that's going on. It's a really difficult time. But it doesn't help by not talking about it. It doesn't help by just sucking it all in, bring my ulcers, back that I had to have surgery before because I wasn't that great at, managing and internalizing stress in the past. So please share your comments. If you know somebody who can add to the story, if you know somebody from Costa Rica, from America, a lawyer, an advocate, anybody. This is advocacy. This is talking about fixing the system, helping people, win what's fair and what's reasonable, stopping hatred, stopping lawlessness. That's what this is about. And again, I love my son Dell. I miss him every day. I know he will be back because there's absolutely zero evidence. It's just a money grab. It's a power grab. It's just hatred of somebody who's upset that I didn't marry her. And she literally told my mom that like a year ago still. And I'm like, what is she talking about? Like, we're not getting married. Like, we're not coming back from the dead. Like, the relationship's been over for years. So if she really believes everything that she wrote in there, we'll get to that on a future episode too, like even more specifics about things that were filed. But every detail doesn't necessarily matter. But I'm telling you as many different things because, again, maybe you've got something that you're aware of about custody. Maybe you've got something about elder abuse. Maybe you've got something about false accusations. I mean, this touches every family, I'm sure, in some way, shape, or form. So thank you for watching. Join the chat either in comments, which I can get to and reach out to you, or the channel, JayRyWorld, right? So JayRyWorld is also an email. It's also an Instagram. So there's lots of ways to communicate and participate if you don't want to be public, or if, again, we talk offline to, make a booking of get, somebody else to be on the channel as well. So I'm not only talking to myself every episode. So anyway, thanks for watching. Pray for Del. All love for Del. All of us who know Del and myself know that we are a beautiful father-son combo, and this is absolutely injustice. So let's get justice for Del. Let's talk about any other situation that's somehow a tangent to this, and let's get justice for all as well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.